Hi, and welcome to our reading time from the Children's Bible in 365 Stories. Today we're picking up where the story left off last time, which was in story 17 on the way to Sodom. Now we're reading about Lot's rescue. And if you remember, three strangers came up to Abraham. Turns out that one of them was God in disguise of a person and was on his way to Sodom and Gomorrah because the people there were wicked and God was needing to wipe them out because there was no fixing their wickedness. And Abraham began arguing with God, challenging God, what kind of a God are you going to be? If there's a few righteous, will you let them die for the sake of all the wicked? Or will you spare the righteous and let some wicked live because of the faithfulness of the righteous? And it puts God struggling with a question that continues on in God's covenant relationship with all of God's people. And part of why Abraham's asking that question is because his nephew Lot lives in Sodom, and he knows his nephew is good, but he doesn't know how many else are, and he's concerned about his nephew and his nephew's family and wanting them to be safe. So our story picks up in Genesis chapter 19, the first book of the Old or First Testament, and you can follow along in your Bibles if you want. And the title of today's story is Lot's Rescue. It was evening by the time the two angels who had visited Abraham arrived in Sodom. Lot was sitting at the gate of the city where all the business was carried on. He came politely forward to greet these strangers and invited them to stay the night in his house. When they arrived at his home, Lot set his servants to work preparing a good supper. But before they could go to bed, the citizens of Sodom came banging at the door. They shouted threats and insults at Lot and told him to throw out his visitors so they could ill-treat them. In other words, so think about this. Lot didn't grow up in this city. So Lot moved to this city, and because he was a wealthy man when he got there, they allowed him into the city and gave him a place, even though he was not originally from that city. So here a stranger comes to the city, and Lot sees the stranger and says, "Oh, it's a stranger. Well, I'm going to treat them really nicely because I have no idea who they are, but I just want to do that because of who I am." And the city responds in fear. We don't know this person. They could be a threat. They could be here spying to bring an invading army. They could be bringing disease to the city. There could be all kinds of bad things about it. And they're so scared that they demand from Lot to throw the strangers out so that they can deal harshly with the strangers to make sure the city stays safe and secure, because they were so afraid of enemies around them and so afraid of people around them. And Lot was not willing to do that. So the story continues. Lot refused, and the shouting, surging mob jostled and pushed him. But the angels pulled him safely back inside and shut the door tight. Then they spoke earnestly to Lot. "We have seen for ourselves now how cruel and bad these people of Sodom are. That is why God is going to destroy the city. You must get ready at once with all your family to escape from here. There is no time to be lost. You will have to run for your lives." While Lot's wife and daughters began to collect their things together, the angels kept hurrying them on. Still, they dawdled, and when at last dawn began to give a faint gray light, the angels took the family by the hand and rushed them quickly out of the city, setting them on the road to the hills. Then indeed they began to run for their lives, for already the rising sun over Sodom was blood red. The ground beneath their feet began to move. Burning sulfur rained down. That's a very powerful, dangerous chemical. It rained down on the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Breathless, it would have been like raining fire falling from the sky onto the cities. Breathless, Lot and his daughters ran for the safety of the hills. But Lot's wife, she stopped running. She looked longingly back at her home and all the comforts and prestige and all the good things they had because of their wealth in the city of Sodom, and she yearned to be back there. Because she stopped and looked back, she was caught in a hail of salt and died where she stood. Wow, instead of trusting God to get her safe and fleeing like ordered by the angels, she paused because she really wanted the things she was being told to give up, and she couldn't let go. And in the end, she died because she couldn't let go and couldn't fully trust in God. What an amazing and powerful story. We'll continue on with story 19 soon, but you have a safe and blessed day. Thanks.